The basic question that I want to ask is, what compelled you to want to join a union? What kind of experiences have you gone through or seen other people go through that made you want to unionize?
So I think the big thing was kind of, we've seen the specific treatment of whether it was ourselves or other coworkers be kind of unfairly, I guess you could say, discriminated against for just kind of their life experience and what's going on outside of their work life. It becomes something that the company looks for as a reason to start to get rid of you, or a reason to not allow you to get any kind of accommodations for those circumstances. They don't really want to make it very easy. As a matter of fact, they make it incredibly difficult to kind of go out of your way to try and get any kind of accommodation for your personal situation. So this was kind of our way of being able to have our equal share of the control, but going 50-50 with a union contract.
Yeah, they really don't allow for any humanity with their employees. You're expected to act like robots while you're at work. You're not allowed to experience, like if you have an emergency, that's still like points against you. It counts against you if you have an emergency that's completely out of your control.
Yeah. Well, and not even counts against you. They'll double down on the punishment because you are unable to give some kind of notice, or in genuine emergency situations where you literally could have done nothing but exactly what you did. They'll look for reasons to kind of double down on the punishment because it was an emergency as opposed to something that you could have planned for, which seems very counterintuitive.
And we've seen instances where after working 12-hour days for months on end, someone makes a couple of small mistakes and they are fired,
right,
and not even given proper warning or proper...
Or they've fired people without telling them. They've decided to fire someone, made them continue to work their shift, or even continue to work for the remainder of the week, just to have them come in and middle of the morning just tell them to go home because you've been let go.
Okay, so like those are pretty bad experiences. You mentioned that people are discriminated against. I think you used that word specifically.
Right.
What sort of thing? You were kind of vague when you were talking about that. Is it?
Yeah, so it has kind of to do with like your personal circumstances. So we have a coworker whose wife is ill, and he tries to navigate working and trying to help her and be supportive of his family. But they don't give him the benefit of the doubt in any kind of way. They look to use that as a reason why he's not as valuable of an employee. Or we've had people that will have kind of riffs or tiffs with management just on something that they can't necessarily punish, and then when they do find a reason to punish the person, they don't take any, they just go all out. They don't take any consideration for what really happened. They don't take the time to talk to the person about, how can they rectify this? How can they maybe help them not do this again, or something like that? They would rather just say, you did it wrong, you're in trouble, this is your punishment.
Additionally, they don't even give you the punishment at the time the event happens.
Right.
I've talked to coworkers that have had to go home for an emergency, and a week and a half later find out that they are being punished for that.
So this is the thing, that this isn't just something that's happening to a handful of people. This is something that everyone's gone through.
Yeah, I know that. I'm positive that 99% of our employees feel uneasy in our security of our job because of the way that they will let you know so late that you're going to be punished for something. It's always over your head, like, oh, I messed up this little thing, like, is this going to be the one that like sets me over the edge? Because I don't know, like they don't do a very good job communicating of like where you're at in their little occurrence stage, or what happens next, or when do those get removed, and when do you get to kind of clear your slate and things like that. They are really, really vague about all that stuff, and they don't really look to work with you personally on how you can keep your job.
In a employee meeting the other day, they were mentioning a new sick time policy and what you get, points you get for calling off and whatnot. And then a couple of coworkers, one who's been here for a few weeks, if not a month, and then another who's been here for multiple months, said, I have not heard of any of this before.
Right.
Like, they had not heard of the sick time occurrence policy. There's just no clear.
It's not clearly defined at all. Yeah, it's just crazy to think that there are people posting in our Facebook group message, or excuse me, our Facebook group, which has no management in it, but we go there to ask questions like, who for sure knows what the attendance policy is? Like, I was late today, or I'm gonna be late today. What is gonna happen to me? And the idea that like we don't feel secure in asking management or our bosses that because we'll get some vague answer, or they just won't really let us know. And it's not clearly defined, so we're always just kind of hanging in the balance, so to speak.
Right. So this isn't just a problem of individual people having terrible experiences. It's a broader systemic thing.
Yeah,
management is mismanaging the management.
Right. The corporate structure is just so disconnected from the actual employees that are in this shop that it really has removed like all human elements to this job. I don't know if you've ever thought it, but I've certainly thought it, and I've talked to the coworkers about it. It's like, how far away are we from being replaced by a little kiosk? You know what I mean? Like, because of the way they treat us and what our job entails, I'm not saying it's going to happen very soon, but it starts to feel like they are just treating us like we're a kiosk. Like we could just be replaced by any other person to be put into that spot.
How do you said that the union vote is going to be in a week, I think it was. How do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel it's going to go?
We're confident. We've been following up with all of our employees for a while now. You only need 30% of the staff to sign union cards in order to petition. We exceeded that and then some, just getting started, so that puts us in a really good spot. And in the last week, we've really been talking to a lot of people, did some house calls yesterday and reached out to people one-on-one, and we feel really good with where we're at.
All right, and one last thing, if either of you would like to share any personal experiences you've had while working here or with the management that you think would make a stronger case as to why unionization is necessary, that would be great.
You got one? I got one, but you can go first as well.
I'm just not sure like at what. I don't want to seem like I'm bashing the company or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So well, what I would say is I think my biggest thing was throughout COVID, they had split our staff up into two teams in order to prevent us from mixing together, so that there would be no or a reduced chance of spread if somebody were to get sick or were to be in contact with someone. It also allowed the store to remain open when one of the teams was required to quarantine for a couple of days. Then the other team covered everybody's shifts, which stretches the staff a lot during 12-hour shifts anyways. It really puts people under a lot of pressure, and it adds a lot of time to your work. And then, so imagine doing your regular 12-hour shifts and then finding out the opposite end of your staff can't work. So now you've got to cover their end and your end for a week. And this whole time, the company is very appreciative. They're saying, thank you so much for working these 12-hour shifts. We're going to get through this together. It's because of COVID. Like, we're going to fight for this, and you guys are being so flexible with us. Thank you. And then their initial decision after we've integrated our teams and got rid of the 12-hour shift system was, we're going to cut your hours by about 20% every week. And that's okay, because we told you that we'd give you full-time employee status, but we did not guarantee that you would get 40 hours a week. You could get anywhere between 30 to 40 hours a week. And it's like, I don't feel very appreciative. Like, that's not a thank you for working 12-hour shifts for the last 6 months or whatever. And it's just snowballed from there. It's just little things just like that, where the company will say they appreciate you and then go and do something right after that's like, do you though?
And as soon as they took away those 12-hour shifts, they also took away sick time as it pertains to COVID. So there is no more sick time for specifically COVID. If you get sick, you're still required, if you have COVID symptoms, to stay out of work. However, that does count against you, and you have 5 days of sick time, I believe.
Right.
And once you use that, even if you have an illness that lasts 2 weeks, every day that you're out, you're getting points against you if you don't have sick time.
Right.
However, you're still required to be out.
Yeah. And that's all if HR decides to, accept the fact that you're on a medical leave. It's so difficult they say that the company, a lot of their anti-union stuff has been like, look, you're going to lose the ability to work with us one-on-one so we can personally work with you. And they don't work with you. I mean, they look for, if you are trying to look for an accommodation at work, they will wait until the absolute last moment when they absolutely have to give you that accommodation because of doctors and different, like, just pushing them before they'll actually do it. They totally have the ability and the power to work with us one-on-one and to treat us like people. And when we explain things, about our jobs and things that would make them easier for us based on different disabilities or circumstance, they could work with us on those things, but they are super, super just stingy. Like, they don't really want to put any effort into keeping you here unless they actually have to.
And because cannabis is a popular industry, the company knows that there are hundreds of people willing to take your job. So they see you as just a cog in a machine because they know that if you leave, they can have another person in your spot in a week. So that we just really don't feel valued as employees.
Right.
Okay, two last two things. Is there anything else that you would like to state while on camera, or like just like for the record?
Go union. Go union. This industry is so big, it's big enough for every single person, to not have to worry about their job security, about their income, about their livelihood. And if you're working in this industry and you don't feel like you have that, you need to go union.
We shouldn't be worrying about our paychecks or our hours when every single night, a single drawer, when we count the money in a single drawer, is almost more than we make in a month every single night.
It's certainly more than I make in a year by the end of the month. It's crazy. Like, we'll do over $1.5 million of business a month, and there are people that work here, myself included, that have to look for other ways to supplement our income. That's crazy. I've worked in advertising jobs where you just make a straight 10% commission on your sales. We'd be making about, 8 or 10 times more than we're making right now if we got 10% commission, which is low for commission rates. So, yeah.
Last thing, it should have been the first thing I asked. I didn't catch either of your names, just for the record. I'm going to have little captions with names underneath. Ramy,
Akram-ahmed, Ramy, Akram-ahmed.
And Sarah Frances Holder, Sarah, middle name Frances, and last name Holder.
All right. Well, I think that's good.
Thanks for talking to us, man.